Good morning, everybody. Got my coffee, got my vape. Let's talk a little. So I haven't put out any videos all week. I didn't put out any videos since last Thursday. I've been working on one particular video because I've got some new software that I'm working with, and I'm trying a couple of new techniques. And so it's been kind of in the learning process, so bear with me, but I couldn't pass up the coffee with Phil. So let's take a sip. Well, this morning, I had on my heart to talk about play to your strengths. That has been a very, very important thing for me. It was a hard thing for me to learn. Spent a lot of hard times pushing the big giant boulder up the mountain, doing it the hard way. And till I learned, I was told, as most of the things that I've learned came through mentorship, that that I was doing it the wrong way. And it's a very common thing. We're told when we were kids, at least my generation was, that you need to focus on strengthening your weaknesses. Find that one thing that you're really bad at, and you need to fix that. I think they did a study. They were asking, one of the polls was asking a bunch of parents if their child brought home an A in math, a B in English, an A in social sciences, and an F in PE, what would they focus on? And it may not have been PE, it may have been another subject. That makes more sense. But what would they focus on? Would they focus on the A, or would they focus on the F? And over 70% of them would focus on the F, which makes sense with that logic. Let's bring that F up so everything else looks good. You don't need to worry about putting so much time into what you're already good at because you got that. Well, that's not actually the best way to do things because your strengths are, I like to say my weaknesses are my potential for the greatest growth, the most growth. I've got more places to go with it. Where my strengths are my potential for fastest growth. That's where I've got the potential to get that momentum going. It takes a lot longer for you to work on something that you're really not good at. That one little aspect, and I'll get deeper into that. It takes a lot more time and a lot more effort with a lot less of a return on your investment. Whereas things that you're really good at, and you're usually passionate about the things that you're really good at, and your strengths, you can grow fast and gain momentum, and then that tends to catch up with your weaknesses. It makes that actually easier and gives you more of an effect on it. Let's take another sip. So I was getting out of the shower this morning. Boy, I talk a lot about being in the shower. Sorry about that image. Anyway, I had my hair dryer, and I was gonna defog the mirror because I like to take hot showers. Sometimes I don't even use cold water at all. It feels good on my muscles, especially first thing in the morning. But I have found, and you have too, if you've ever seen this, or if you've noticed your windshield defogging, that if you find that one little spot that's not quite as thick of fog, or you take the edge of the mirror and you hit that, the rest of the mirror, once that defogs, you get momentum going, and then the rest of the mirror it's like magic. It just goes fast. But if you hit the thickest part, you could be there for a while until you have that same effect. That's the same thing. I'll give you a couple of examples. One of them, there's a YouTuber, and I'm not going to mention his name because he's not in the reselling community, but I don't know him, and so I wouldn't want to embarrass him. But it's a reseller. I mean, but it's a YouTuber that I've watched over the years quite a bit, because I've used Adobe products, Photoshop and Premiere Plus and things like that. And he does amazing tutorials on that. He's got great personality. He's got a great look. He uses really good equipment. He's really good at explaining things and figuring out the details and explain them in a way that's easy for people to understand. He's got a great sense of humor, a great smile. He has all the stuff going for him. He had one thing, and that was that he used to talk really, really, really fast. And then he'd get confusing when he would do that. He would just jump from one thing to the other and just talk. So for a while there, people were commenting in his videos and telling him this, and he wanted to get better. He wanted to improve. So for a while there, he was trying to focus on talking slower, and he was actually talking about that in his videos, about talking slower. And he made some progress, but realistically, in my opinion, a lot of the strengths and the things that he had going for him started to slip away a little bit, and he wasn't making that much progress with the talking slow. It was kind of going back and forth. So I reached out to him and sent him a message, and I listed all of his strong points, all the things that I thought that he had really going for him. And I told him that I've been noticing that he's been spending a lot of time focusing on that. And in my experience, that I told him the concept that we're talking about here. And it was a new concept for him, because we're really taught the opposite. And he didn't tell me that he implemented it. We didn't follow up. I haven't talked to him since then. But I did start noticing a marked improvement on his strengths. His videos got better and better and better. And you know what happened? He got more confident with the other stuff. So his speed, he started slowing down. Now he's got a very good rhythm. He's very calm when he speaks, and very confident. And so it kind of fixed that. I'm sure he probably had to spend a little bit of time with it, but not as much, because he had the momentum of his growth. So he probably only had to maybe think about every once in a while, have some kind of a trigger. Okay, slow down, whatever. I don't know, but I do know that he got markedly better, and his videos are amazing now. With me and my personal experience, I refer back to overcoming phobias. That's probably, at this point in my life, probably my greatest achievement. I hope that's not going to stay that way. I plan on having amazing achievements in my life and doing great things. But I had to figure out what my strengths were and what my shortcomings were. When you have a social phobia, the biggest thing is obviously people. It's social. It's how to interact with people without causing anxiety. Let's drink for a second. So I had to think about my strengths. My strengths were in actually contacting people, actually starting up conversations and being comfortable with people, but actually starting up approaching people. My strengths were my smile and my sense of humor, and not really sense of humor, but my ability to see humor in everyday events and things that are happening. It's a great way to start conversations, being able to see something that's funny that somebody else is going to be able to share. My weaknesses was one thing, my memory. I've got a memory like a steel sieve. Now, I shouldn't say that because that's implanting in there. We'll talk about that in another video. But realistically, I don't take the time for details. I'm not a detail thinker. I'm more of a concept thinker, and I'm a quick thinker. So I get ahead of information and don't remember specific details. And I get confused. I can get really, really confused really, really quickly. So rather than I tried to work on trying to remember things better, to calm down, take deep breaths, all those kind of things. And where I started getting momentum is I started focusing on my strengths, my smile, and my ability to see humor in things. And I won't go into how I implemented that. I'll do that also in another video. But that was amazing because I did experience that. I got better at focusing on Phil smile. Look at people and smile. Um, what's going on with them, or what's going on around, or something that's shared with both of us that I can point out in a humorous way, and we can both laugh about it, because humor is the best icebreaker. And so I would focus in on that, and I would actually practice that. And so I got good at that. And you know what? All the other things kind of fell into place, because when I'm comfortable and I'm feeling confident and I'm feeling bold, and I tend not to I tend not to I tend not to forget things as much. Everything else kind of goes a lot smoother. So let's take another sip. So what are your strengths? What are your shortcomings in any particular endeavor? We're mostly talking about being an entrepreneur, starting your own business, the skills of different aspects of sourcing, of negotiation, of pricing, of bookkeeping, of cleaning, of fixing, of shipping, of customer service, of hats. Now, if you have somebody else that you're in the business with, a spouse or even a friend or a partner, then that helps, because a lot of times you will have different strengths. With Myrna, we complement each other in different ways, and she has strengths where I have my shortcomings, and vice versa. So we tend to be able to work that way, especially with estate sales. I'm all about finding the cool thing and finding out how much it's worth and knowing the history of it and all that kind of stuff. And I tend to miss details. I have a really hard time remembering, is it broken? Is the battery compartment roached? Does it have all its components? Is it actually the thing that I'm looking at and not just something that's similar? And she is really, really good at coming in behind me and looking at things and pointing out things that I may have missed. And that's not all she does, but we really complement each other that way. She asks me a lot of times, comes to me with stuff that she thinks is really cool. And most of the time it really, really is. But just to have me take a look and see what I think about that. And so it works really good. But you can't do that if you don't know what your strengths are and you don't know what your shortcomings are. So sit down with a piece of paper, and you don't necessarily have to do your all-encompassing strengths, but you can if you want to. It's at different levels. But pick a particular task. What are you good at with that, and what are you challenged at with that? And I'll give you a couple of hints. As I said before, generally you're more passionate about stuff that you're good at, that you have the strengths, your strengths set for that particular event or skill. And you're going to be more apt, if you think about it, to be less likely to just jump right in and do it, more likely to try to avoid it. Another thing is the mirror effect. Think about somebody that you really, really like and really, really appreciate in this particular way, in this particular thing. And it doesn't have to be anybody you even know. And they may not even be somebody that you just see, like me, for instance, may not be as cool as you think I am. But then again, but it doesn't matter. The idea is that the things that you like about somebody and you admire about somebody are things that you aspire to achieve and generally have a strength for, even if you haven't honed your skills in that. And things that you don't like about that person, or you're not patient with that person, is generally things that we don't like about ourselves, whether it be real or not. Another subject for another video. So that's a good way. Write down that. And then, you know what? The best probably way to know your strengths and your shortcomings is ask people around you. You know what? If you don't trust them or you don't feel comfortable enough, you don't have to ask them for your shortcomings, but ask them for your strengths. I guarantee the people around you we'll be able to list them off like that. People that know you, they'll already know. A lot of times I find when I talk to people around me about, you know what, I realize that I'm doing this one thing or something. They go, oh yeah, you definitely are. Yep, sure have been doing it for a long time. Absolutely. It's nothing new. So identify that, because if you don't identify them, then you have nowhere to go. So once you identify them, then start thinking about, well, what ways can I improve on my strengths? Now, one thing to keep in mind, and a lot of people will say, that talk about this, will say, play to your strengths, forget about your weaknesses. You can't do that. You still have to think about your shortcomings. You just don't focus on that. You need to identify them. You need to identify how you can improve in those areas. But you don't have to focus in on that until you get momentum. You can be working on that, but spend most of your time and your effort on your strengths. And then guess what? The momentum will start. And once Mo kicks in, then everything else comes along and swept along with it, and it gets easier. Let's have another sip. Well, that's it for this coffee. Did you notice we're outside again? The birds are chirping. Cicadas aren't singing yet. You can hear the highway back. It's about 2 miles away, but it's really, really loud, the interstate. I love it this time of year. It's amazing. So anyway, that's it for today. That's all the coffee we're going to drink. Yeah, right. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, share, subscribe, always comment, hit the ringy dingy thing so you're notified every time I make a video. And as always, no matter what tune that life plays you, always find your groove. Thanks for having coffee with me again this morning. You guys come back and see me.